Your daughter's funeral is starting. Come here right now. I received a call from Noah after a long time, who chose to leave me and our daughter 15 years ago for his mistress. However, I was puzzled by the content of the message and responded with a confused expression. Huh? Our daughter is still alive, you know? Hearing the shocking truth, Noah was confused. To him, I was about to reveal a certain fact. My name is Amy. I was abandoned by my husband, Noah, 15 years ago, and I am 45 years old now. Noah and I met in college and started dating. After graduation, we both intended to marry and began living together. He was a couple of years my senior and a member of the same band club. Being the president, he was admired by both males and females, a very dependable senior. I, on the other hand, tend to be easily swayed by others and have a weak will. I get nervous in front of assertive seniors and often end up taking on unpleasant tasks from them. People always say you should just talk back if you don't like it, but I was afraid of becoming a target of harassment, so I always ended up being taken advantage of. Noah was the one who stood up for me. Cleaning here is supposed to be the second year's responsibility. Why is Amy doing it? He must have heard from a classmate that I was being burdened with tasks. Seeing me on the spot, Noah glared through his glasses and scolded the senior girls. At that moment, he was like a hero to me. After Noah, the president, scolded them, the seniors stopped bothering me. That was to be expected. Since that incident, Noah started looking out for me. Not just in club activities but also around school, he'd casually talk to me, and before I knew it, I was included in Noah's circle of friends. Why do you take care of me so much? Because you're seriously committed to the club. I like people who dedicate themselves to something. Even so, Noah, you seem pretty hot on Amy. I thought you two were dating. Teased by friends, Noah never denied it. Instead, he blushed slightly and asked them to stop. Maybe for real? That reaction made me happy. By then, I was also conscious of him, and with encouragement from those around us, Noah and I started dating. Serious Noah had decided to tell something important if he ever got a girlfriend, and after a while, he promised marriage. I decided that once I date someone, I'm definitely gonna marry them. Cool, right? Your wife being your first and last. It might be a heavy thought, but I want to live with Amy after she graduates high school and marry her. That's the kind of commitment I have towards Amy. I was surprised by the sudden proposal, but more than that, I was happy. It felt blissful that he was seriously thinking about our future, and I deeply bowed my head in response. I might not be perfect, but please take care of me. After that, Noah and I went to greet our parents so we could start living together as soon as possible. Being high school students, they were initially anxious about what we were saying, but they began to understand, showing a willingness to allow cohabitation by the time I graduated. Thanks to that effort, when we formally asked after graduation, we received conditional permission. The fact that you two are so serious has come across, so Mom and Dad will support you. Only once you can truly live on your own. If you can promise that, I won't say anything more. And so began our life living together. At first, it was very fun, and we had happy days. On his days off, we'd splurge a little on dining out, or I'd wait for him to finish work to go shopping together. We also divided household chores so it wouldn't be too much on either of us. However, this happiness began to crumble about half a year before he left me. By the time I was 23, our relationship was established as common law marriage. I strongly requested to proceed with our marriage, but each time Noah somehow dodged the conversation. It's too soon. You just turned 23, right? And my job is just starting to take off. There's no rush to get married. We're in a common law marriage, after all. How about this? Give it another 2 years. By then, my job will have stabilized, and we can discuss it again. By that time, we should have saved enough for a wedding. I naively believed his words about a wedding at that time. He was serious and had never lied before. He was always prepared and took great pride in his efforts. If we're gonna get married, I want my wife to wear a gorgeous wedding dress. I'll work. Please don't push yourself too hard and get sick for me. If you just do what you can without overdoing it, that's enough for me. Even if we can't afford the dress, I won't complain, you know. No way. I can't accept that. It would hurt my pride. Seeing Amy in her wedding dress is something I'm looking forward to. I remembered when he told me this while we were dating. That's why I didn't question Noah when he said he wanted us to wait another 2 years. I believed he still loved me. So, 2 years from now, right? Let's make sure to get married then, okay? It's a promise? Of course. A man doesn't go back on his word. I'm gonna earn more with my job. So, look forward to the wedding. I'll make sure we celebrate in style. Noah's job is as a food coordinator. His interest in food is stronger than most, and he loves cooking himself. His original recipes, full of creativity, became popular among housewives, and he received so many offers from various companies to supervise their recipes that he was quite in demand. His talent really started to shine after we had this conversation about marriage. Since then, Noah began to live a life away from home. At first, he would call me after work, but that only lasted a few months. I felt neglected to the point where I wondered if he had forgotten about me. He would go on business trips almost every week, and there were months when he didn't come home at all. When he did come home, it was only for work parties or dinner with clients, and he hardly spent any time with me. Our time as a couple was virtually non-existent. Gradually, our relationship began to deteriorate. Why don't you ever call me? Are you that busy with work? I reached my breaking point and ended up calling Noah in tears. Unable to contain my feelings any longer, I let my emotions spill over to Noah, who was tired from work, and he sighed as if I was a huge nuisance. What? You're in that mood today? Sorry, but I'm too tired from work to deal with any drama. When I get home from work, I'm so exhausted I can't even take a shower before going to sleep. Unlike you, I'm busy. It doesn't make sense for my wife to start getting hysterical on me. Weren't you supposed to be my supportive partner? Is it your job to add to my stress? You don't even understand what I'm going through, yet you're piling on unnecessary stress. It's frustrating. I honestly couldn't understand what he was saying. It was the first time I had been spoken to like this, and I think I was just confused. My mind went blank, and I couldn't process Noah's words. He was kind and had a strong core, but his words could be harsh. Yet, his love was always mixed in with his words, showing that he cared about the person he was speaking to. He always made sure to express himself in a way that conveyed his feelings. Amy has her weaknesses, but that doesn't mean you should run away from confronting people. Whether it's me or a scary teacher, you should always speak your mind if you believe you're right. There's no guarantee that the other person will understand, but you can't give up. No matter how much you get scolded, stick to your guns. That strong spirit is important in a discussion. Knowing my struggles with confronting people, Noah still gave me strict but kind words. I fell for his kindness and thoughtfulness, choosing to stay with him, but now, the person hurling cruel words at me over the phone, was this really the Noah I knew? Is it really the same person who is saying these things to me? Unable to accept reality, I was left speechless, and as I remained silent, an impatient Noah muttered, "This is a waste of time," and unilaterally ended the call. The only thing left was the hollow sound of the call disconnecting. As the call ended and my strength left me, I collapsed to the floor. Looking at my phone, the call history with Noah was displayed, proof that the call had indeed come from him. But I couldn't accept the reality. I couldn't believe he would speak to me in such a terrible way. Could it be a mistake? Was I dreaming? I was so shaken that I even doubted my own senses, and I couldn't bring myself to do anything that day. After that, I led a life where I couldn't put my heart into anything. I became afraid to contact him, and I stopped initiating contact altogether. I would respond to his one-sided communications, always wary of his mood. When Noah realized I was tiptoeing around his moods, perhaps he found comfort in this no-ask environment, returning home only when it suited him and quickly leaving again. He made no efforts to deepen our connection. I was merely treated as an obligation, fulfilling only the minimum of what was expected of a wife. He didn't take me on dates or enjoy quality time together. Instead, he used me to satisfy his own desires and then left me to my own devices. It was as if, having caught the fish, he felt no need to keep feeding it. Before I knew it, our relationship had devolved to one of convenience. Yet, I couldn't bring myself to leave him. Bound by memories of our past, I held on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, he would look my way again. With that slim hope, I awaited his return every day, dreaming of the day we could revert to our old selves, enduring relentlessly until something happened. I found out I was pregnant. Feeling unwell and suffering from severe symptoms, I went back to my parents' house to recuperate. Upon my mother's advice to get it checked, I used a pregnancy test. It was positive. A visit to the hospital confirmed I was 2 months pregnant. Maybe this news would change Noah. Such hope inflated my heart. Thinking perhaps my senses were off for harboring expectations amidst our frigid relationship. I was desperate to cling to anything that might reel back the man I once knew. I longed to regain the old him. Convinced this was just a rough patch and that he still cared for me, needed me as his wife. I had become so fixated on him, yet my mental state was too poor to recognize this dependency. I had lost the ability to self-reflect calmly. Eagerly, I reached out to Noah. My emotions a mix of hope and anxiety as I made the call. Wondering what I would do if he responded coldly again. But Noah had always adored children. Perhaps he would welcome the news with joy. I too loved children, having always desired one of our own. This child might change everything between us. I couldn't help but harbor that hope. "Hello?" Noah answered, his tone reflecting slight annoyance at being called at an inconvenient time. But recalling the words Noah had once said during our dating years, I expressed my intent to confront this situation with him, sharing my feelings. "Noah, listen. I called because I have something important to tell you. I'm pregnant." "What?" Noah's reaction was one of utter confusion, as if my words made no sense to him. For once, his response wasn't mixed with sighs or irritation. It had been so long since I'd heard anything from him but displeasure. Even this slight difference was enough to make me happy, and I continued. "I'm pregnant. I took a test today and went to the hospital, and they said I'm 2 months along. We're going to have a baby." My cheerful demeanor seemed to finally help Noah grasp the situation, his voice shaking with emotion. "Really? That's congratulations. So, I'm gonna be a dad. I can hardly believe it." Noah laughed dryly. His joy and astonishment making the situation feel unreal. Unsure of how to react. I took his response as a sign of genuine surprise and confusion. "When will you be coming home? We need to tell your parents too. We have to decide on a name and get baby stuff ready. You're getting ahead of yourself. I'll tell my parents on my end, you just take care of yourself and the baby, okay? Stay rested and think only about you too. I can't come home for a while, but I'll let you know when I have a return date. Until then, don't do anything reckless, okay?" Feeling genuinely cared for the first time in a long time made me happy. As if the old Noah was back. I was hopeful that this child might bring us back to how we used to be. But reality is often not so kind. Months passed without any word from Noah. Being a freelancer, he had no fixed workplace, making it impossible to know who he was with or where he was. Trying to find him, who seemed to be in a different state each week, was like trying to catch clouds. The morning sickness made it even harder for me to muster the energy to search for him. I began to doubt whether I would ever hear from him again when my worst fears were confirmed. As usual, when I tried to call him, I couldn't get through to Noah's cell phone. "This number is busy right now," was the only response, a hollow announcement repeating itself. No matter how many times I redialed, and even when my parents tried calling, we got the same announcement. "Has he blocked me?" Faced with this unbelievable situation, everything went dark before my eyes. As I nearly collapsed, my father caught me, and my mother looked on worriedly. Confused about what was happening, I even went to his parents' house, only to be turned away at the door, with no one willing to explain anything. It dawned on me that Noah had abandoned me. But to be blocked and then turned away at the door. When I insisted on visiting his parents' house, they threatened to call the police on me. My friends suggested maybe he had just run away, offering no real support. Accepting the reality that I had been abandoned was incredibly difficult. "Amy, it's time to stop clinging to Noah. You're dad and I can't stand to see you fall apart anymore." 3 months had passed since Noah and I lost contact. My belly was starting to show, and the morning sickness was still ongoing, during which my parents confronted me with the harsh reality. My mother cried, and my father bit his lip in frustration. They told me they would take care of me and the baby, urging me not to cling to Noah anymore. In that moment, any sliver of hope I had was extinguished, and I broke down in tears. Wailing like a child, I clung to my mother, crying until my voice was hoarse. In the end, all I could do was cry myself to sleep. I consider hiring a lawyer to fight back, but as a part-timer, I didn't have the funds or the energy to pursue a legal battle. Since Noah had moved into my apartment, I threw out all his belongings with my parents' help. Eventually, I decided to move back home with my parents and prepare for raising my child with them. Even without a father, I'll make sure this child is happy. I'll protect this child. I resolved as I sorted through our belongings, finally coming to terms with my feelings and preparing myself to be a mother. In the worst-case scenario, my parents were even willing to adopt. My friends also offered their support, showering my child with love. Thanks to them, I made it through the birth, and were both healthy and enjoying life. I had forgotten all about Noah, focusing solely on my daughter and our life together for the past 15 years. I never imagined that I would encounter Noah again in this way. Now a high school student, my daughter attends a public high school and participates in extracurricular activities. But today was an off day, so she came home early. I, now working as a full-time office employee, returned home to find my daughter preparing dinner with my parents when an unknown number called. Hello? Wondering who it could be, I answered the call and was shocked to hear a voice I hadn't heard in ages. What the hell are you doing? Where the hell are you? It was Noah, panicking, his voice filled with anger and confusion. Where? I'm at home. What do you want after all this time? Don't play dumb. Do you know what's happening? Our daughter's funeral is starting. Come here right now, he said, then abruptly hung up, sending me the funeral home's address via text. As I stared at my phone with a grim expression, my daughter peeked out from the kitchen. Mom, what's wrong? Who was that? It's nothing. Just a friend who said they wanted to see your face. Can I take your picture? What? Now? I haven't even done my makeup since coming back from school. Don't be silly. You look cute just as you are, no need to worry. Here, I'm taking it now. Saying that, I started the countdown, and my daughter flashed a radiant smile. I immediately set that picture as my phone's wallpaper, like a talisman, then turned back to my parents. I need to step out for a bit, go ahead and eat without me. Are you sure you're okay? I'll be fine. I'll be back soon. Do you want us to come with you? I'm fine. Please take care of her for me? Okay. If anything happens, call us right away. Perhaps sensing something from my expression, my parents silently watched as I left. Thus, I got into the car and headed to the funeral home where Noah was waiting. I had longed for this day. I was ready to settle years of resentment right here. When I arrived at the funeral home, ready to confront the situation, Noah and a woman were standing together. Hey! What are you doing? The funeral has already started. Wait, why are you in casual clothes? Why should I? I'm attending the funeral of someone unrelated. How can you say it's unrelated? It's our daughter's funeral. What are you thinking? Huh? Our daughter is still alive, you know? And why are you talking as if she's your daughter? She is my daughter, not yours. Don't pretend to be the father. Huh? Wait, what do you mean? But, the name here has the same last name as you. I was definitely told by her that our daughter died in an accident. Noah said, turning his gaze to the woman who had been quietly observing us from his side. What's your relationship with Noah? Oh, just friends. We used to work together. You know, back when I traveled a lot for work, we worked on a project together. Oh, so you think I'd fall for that? What? As Noah struggled to answer, both women stared at him coldly. You think I came here today without knowing anything? What do you mean? I know everything. That you were cheating, and this woman was your affair partner. What? The woman standing beside Noah was Michelle. The person who had caused Noah and me to lose contact 15 years ago. Michelle contacted me. She offered to tell me the whole truth about 15 years ago in exchange for my help with her revenge. You weren't just cheating with Michelle, but had about 5 other women during that time. I was shocked to hear just how much of a scumbag you were. In fact, a week ago, Michelle suddenly reached out to me. She wanted revenge on Noah for betraying her and asked for my cooperation. While Noah neglected me, he was enjoying relationships with multiple women in different regions. As evidence, Michelle had kept exchanges with Noah and these women, secretly documenting his infidelity in a blog, careful not to let him find out. Afraid of being discarded, she knew about his cheating but kept silent. She thought it was okay since he came back to her, forgiving him. However, when Michelle turned 40, she ran out of patience, brought up marriage. And Noah disappeared from her life just as he did with me. It turned out, Noah had even made engagement promises to another woman, discovered through a detective Michelle hired. I couldn't forgive him, so I reached out to you, Amy. To use the only child you unfortunately had with him as leverage. Knowing how much you loved children, I knew you'd never forget her existence, even if you moved on from other women. I also had things to settle with you. So, I agreed to her plan. Look, my daughter is right here, healthy and alive, and you fell for her lie. By the way, the funeral home sign was prepared by a contact of mine. They were happy to help when I asked for a favor on a day with no funerals. So, you all conspired to trap me like this? Upon understanding the situation, Noah tried to flee but was blocked by Michelle. Think you can just leave? How? You came here in my car. Planning to walk back to your in-laws through these mountains? It was past 6 p.m., and the area around the funeral home, located in the mountains, lacked streetlights. Moreover, signs warning of wildlife sightings made walking back an unreasonable risk. Noah had no way to escape. So, what do you expect me to do now? Are you going to demand alimony now? But we never made any marriage promises, and it's been too long to demand compensation from Amy. Just as I thought. Noah had dared to contact me because of that. But I wasn't about to let him off the hook so easily. True, claims for compensation in a marriage have a limit. Exactly. So, trying to make a claim against me now is futile. But that's from the time the aggrieved party became aware or could have become aware of the damage, or the offender was identified. What? Noah, apparently not having done his homework, was taken aback to learn I was one step ahead. Seeing his shock, Michelle couldn't help but smirk, coming over to me as if seeking protection. Now we can get back at Noah, can't we? Could I get a portion of that compensation as a reward for my contribution? What are you talking about? What? Michelle seemed taken aback, perhaps thinking she wouldn't be scolded by me, considering us allies, not enemies. However, faced with my cold gaze, she stumbled back in confusion. Turning a cunning smile towards her, I then directed our attention to someone standing behind her. Since you were involved in this scheme, it's only natural I'd make a claim against you, too. And I might just be seeking compensation, but what about the person behind you? They seem even more infuriated than I am, I said, causing Michelle and Noah to hesitantly look back, only to gasp in surprise at the person they saw. Mike? The chairman? Indeed, there stood Mike, Michelle's ex-husband and the chairman of the large commercial group Noah was indebted to. Mike had lost his father early on and became chairman at a young age. Known for his sharp mind and stern work ethic, his stoic personal life was legendary in the industry. I was familiar with his name and had arranged for this funeral home through his connections. Why is Mike here? I didn't say anything. I did. What? Actually, the day after you approached me, Mike visited my place. You had hired a detective to follow Noah, but it turns out, Mike had one on you, hired by himself. Michelle, it emerged, had been dating both Noah and Mike, seeing Mike for his wealth. While Mike considered their relationship serious enough to contemplate marriage, Michelle broke it off, finding his disciplined lifestyle too demanding, and sought to be with Noah instead. Suspicious of the abrupt breakup, Mike had a detective investigate Michelle. Learning all the details and initiating the plan he proposed to me after Michelle made contact. I was more than happy to go along with Mike's suggestion. I couldn't stand the thought of only Noah facing hell. You, Michelle, deserve to suffer too, for the 15 years of grudges to truly be settled. Wait, this isn't. Excuses are pointless. I cut her off as she frantically tried to explain, but Mike's imposing presence silenced her. Noah, on the other hand, seemed utterly defeated, barely reacting to the unfolding situation. I never imagined you'd stoop this low. Rest assured, you'll be receiving a fitting return for this. And you'll be facing consequences for meddling with someone else's fiancé. Mike's stern gaze bore down on them with an authority that seemed beyond his 35 years, leaving even me feeling overwhelmed. Realizing escape was futile, Michelle turned to me, pleading for mercy. Help me, Amy! We were both wronged by Noah, weren't we? If it's about the pain he caused you. It's been 15 years, let's let bygones be bygones. I came to you today because I trusted you. I've told you everything, even apologized. Didn't you forgive me then? Please, convince Mike to at least drop the compensation. No, could you share a bit of the compensation you get from Noah with me? That's all I ask. Please, help me. Her plea disgusted me. Self-preservation above all else, and she expects me to forgive her? As if it's all okay because it happened 15 years ago, as if there's some statute of limitations on betrayal. That's how Michelle's words sounded to me, and my anger exploded in response. Stop it. What does it matter if it was 15 years ago? Do you have any idea what my family and I have been through these 15 years? The pain my daughter has endured? My daughter had suffered greatly without a father. Feeling isolated at every family event. Crying over our different family structure. No photos or anything else left behind. I can't help but wonder how much that loneliness has hurt her. Whether it's been 15 years or 20, the pain and suffering won't ever be forgotten. There will never come a day when I can forgive them. With that thought, I distanced myself from Michelle and Noah, giving them a cold look before delivering my final words. No amount of time will erase the pain and suffering. I will never forgive you both. Stay out of our lives forever. And you, don't you ever dare call yourself her father again. If you cause any confusion for her, I'll make sure you truly regret it, I declared before leaving them to Mike's hands. Afterward, Noah and Michelle faced a hefty compensation claim from Mike and me. The recorded evidence of Michelle's revelations, submitted to the lawyer with video proof, allowed us to extract far more than expected, thanks to the collaboration with Mike's dedicated lawyer. Noah's contract was terminated for his unprofessional conduct. And Michelle, employed at Mike's company, was fired. Their story spread within the company, leaving them ostracized. Since then, my family and I have been doing well. Mike came to check on us out of concern. I'm truly sorry for the trouble my fool has caused your family. If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to ask, he apologized, but my daughter responded with a smile. I'm happy with my life now. It was lonely when I was little, but now I think it's better that it's just been Mom and me. I've never heard a single good thing about my dad anyway. I'm glad Mom left him, and I have no regrets about not having a father. So, please don't apologize like that. We're doing just fine. I don't think she knows everything, but I believe she's aware of what's happened. Both now and in the past. Mike chuckled at her mature response, "You have a wonderful daughter." Tears welled up in my eyes as her words reaffirmed my resolve to cherish this child dearly.